Welcome to Report from Arbroath. This episode is brought to you by Warwick Spice. Learn more at warwickspice.co.uk.
Hello and welcome to Reports from Arbroath. My name is Brian Halford and today we are reflecting upon one of the greatest bowling performances in the history of the county championship and arguably the greatest by a Warwickshire bowler. On the final day of the 2022 season at Edgbaston, Warwickshire went into the afternoon needing to beat Hampshire to avoid relegation. Careless batting in the morning session meant they set Hampshire a target of only 139. Warwickshire had to bowl Hampshire out for less than 139 or they were down. A bit of pressure there then. Liam Norwell responded to that pressure by taking 9 for 62. Hampshire were bowled out for 133. Warwickshire won by 5 runs and had completed the greatest of great escapes. It was an incredible day, truly an I was there one for all present, and I'm delighted to say that recalling it with us today is Liam Norwell. Liam, welcome.
Thank you very much. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How's it looking down there in Redruth?
Yeah, nice. Look, nice to be home in Cornwall. Obviously a big change. 2 years. It's been 2 years since that day, and in some ways it feels like it's a few weeks ago. In other ways it feels like it's a lifetime ago. A lot has changed in that time. But yeah, I'm happy to be home.
Well, there was, of course, a poignant postscript to that great day, of course, Liam, because it was your final appearance in first-class cricket. Sadly, you had to retire subsequently due to injury, which we'll touch on later on, if we may. But in the meantime, let's talk about that incredible performance, the best bowling performance ever for Warwickshire, not statistically, because there have been 3 all-10s, but in terms of what it meant to the team and in a match, probably the best ever. That's quite an imprint to leave in history.
Yeah, it's a day you don't plan for, I guess. You never want to leave a relegation battle, and you never want to have to bowl the amount that me and Ollie did that day. I think we bowled all but 6 overs across the entire innings, and it's you can't do it without the person at the other end. And
To put a bit of context in the situation here, of course, Warwickshire began that season as county champions. Incredible year that was, wasn't it? Let's just talk about that for a moment. I mean, that you played a huge part in that season as well. And then 2022 didn't go so well.
no, whether it was a bit of second season syndrome with obviously Mark Robinson had come in as coach the year before, coming off of COVID, where we hadn't played our best cricket, and everything just fell into place for us in 2021. We played some really good cricket at the right time. We got ourselves into Division 1, and then just with how it all went, luckily, because they're beaten Nottingham twice, it meant we were top of the league. So we got to a bit of an advantage going to that last stage, and then be able to go out on that final day and beat Somerset in the manner that we did just showed that we were worthy champions and that we were going to put on the line. And those kind of 3 or 4 overs when we needed 1 wicket to go, and the buzz around the ground and what it meant to everybody on the pitch was saying with me, brother. It was an amazing day. And then the next season just didn't work out. And you can blame injuries, you can blame whatever you want. I think I played 4 games. Bowlers who were in form broadly weren't in form that year. Again, the batters were out of form, and whether you throw every excuse that you put, but at the end of the day, we just didn't luck in 2022. And yeah, we were very close to going down because of it. But it led to that day that we're here to talk about. So it swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
It is indeed, and it's strange, isn't it? As you mentioned, the previous last day of the season, Warwickshire won the championship. I think in some ways, the avoidance of relegation, because it was so spectacular, it was almost even more memorable. But let's just reflect on that day. Of course, the close of the 3rd day, Warwickshire were trailing by 39 on the first innings, 62 for 2. So you needed to score a few quick runs and then bowl Hampshire out to avoid relegation. The morning didn't go to plan, did it? 62 for 2 turned to 177 all out. And if I may say so, L. Norwell out first ball part of the clatter.
Yeah.
What was the feeling at lunchtime, or when all of a sudden you had to bowl Hampshire out for 139?
Yeah, it was a strange one, you know. It went from a very deflated room to a very ambitious room, if that's the right word, in a matter of minutes, you know. I think I've been on record text my wife, I'd say we're down, you know. And then before we'd even gone back out, you know, Alex Davis, Will, people like that are really just getting us to get going. So we've got enough to bowl well, we've got enough. And then kind of me and Ollie were warming up, and Park Roberts came over and told us to control our arousal levels. It just kind of, it was a silly way to say it, but everyone just laughed and it relaxed everybody. And, you know, just suddenly me and Ollie there was a bit of calmness about us and clarity. Like, we knew we didn't have much to play with, but we just had to go out and just bowl to best of our ability. And it was a day where I don't think Ollie will bowl much better than that, but he only took 1 wicket, and I think our bowl best. Like, I think our bowl not well. Don't get me wrong, you can't bowl badly, took 9 wickets, but there was patches in that long spell like the bowl where Ollie definitely dragged me through. So it was definitely a team effort where it was the one person, not over.
You say you and Ollie were always likely to bear the brunt of the bowling. Of course, that would have been a big enough ask if you were 100% fit. You weren't, were you, Liam, for that game?
No, so I'd had back issues all summer, and then that kind of led into the following summer. But fortunately, through a series of injections and procedures, we got my back under control, and I played the last game before the 50-over tournament. I played every game in the 50-over tournament. And then just after I bowled my final over against Somerset, I threw a ball, I started pain through the inside of my elbow, thought nothing of it. Then went to the twos the next week just to try and build my loads up because, like I said, I missed a bit through my back, so I'd only played 50-over cricket for a period. And my elbow just got worse and worse as we went. I can't remember the ligament or joint, whatever it was, tore, but Chris Tyler said, Chris Tyler's one of the physios at Warwickshire's first in physio. Him and Gerhard, who's the head physio who oversees it all, both said they'd never seen this muscle torn in cricket. So it kind of summed up my luck, well, I guess, from that point onwards, really, with injuries. But yeah, so I was fully strapped. I was adamant I was going to try and play. I'd wanted to play the week before at Gloucester, but I was seeking Spartan to the wrist. And then, yeah, then it was basically, we had now Watson, and it's the day before the game. My mum says, so you can play, I said, I'm playing. It's as simple as that. And I went and the arms chucked up, and it's pretty sore for a few weeks after, but you take a pain when you manage to stay up and do training like we did.
Well, you'd taken forfeit in the first innings, of course, and so the second innings begins, Hampshire chasing 139, Warwickshire teetering on the brink of relegation, and 6 for 1 after Ollie strikes first, Felix Organ caught behind, and then Norwell strikes. Mr. Holland leaves a straight one, 14 for 2. At what point do you start thinking, this is game on?
It was the James Vince wicket for me. I think, without trying to give myself too much credit and not give Ian Holland too bit down player, but it did nip back quite a bit. It was a 10-pitch straight one. But yeah, it probably wasn't his best lead. And then we got Weatherly out, 3 down. But it wasn't really until the Vince wicket. And I think I've only watched it back once or twice. But I think if you see the big celebration when that wicket goes, everyone knows how big a wicket is. James Vince is an international caliber player. He's a man who would have won that game before Tia Saden. And to get him when we did, or cheaply, and to be fair, he had inside his first ball just past the stumps. And everyone kind of was, oh no, that was our chance. And then an over later, we get this goal opportunity. Ollie did a good cat playing round. And yeah, I think to see the celebration, that was the way everyone's psyching. This is a possibility, though.
And that James Vince's wicket left it 49 for 4. That became 73 for 5. And then just after tea, 85 for 6, when Anurin Donald hammered you into the covers and Jake Bethel took a fine catch. And I think that wicket just after the tea interval, Warwickshire still very much on the brink, but that just made the crowd really getting involved by that stage.
Definitely. I think the wicket either side, so Ben Brown's a great player. He's one of the probably best players in the county circuit who's ever played international cricket. So to get him cheaply, followed by Donald, who again he's a player who can take a game away from you in a session, and he had shown that with intent he'd come out with in that little period before and after tea. Could show the day before the intent he played. If he had batted but 10 overs, the game was over. Yeah. And yeah, it is a rank out volley, and Bethel took a very good catch. And I think he would have been 19 at that point, maybe 18. I was waiting to take a catch. A catch of a colour under that crush, though spoke boys like him, so it was very easy.
And then Keith Barker, who had scored some obstinate runs in the first innings, is bowled for 4. I have to say, that's when I thought we could be in for something special here. That was 91 for 7. What's going through your mind and body at that stage, Liam? Are you hurting? What's the... one more over, please. One more over, please, from the captain. It's
I wouldn't say there were any pleases in there. But it was just, you need to keep going. And I think, for me, like Barks, obviously batted very well the day before. I can't remember how he got. I remember how he got out to Henry on the short ball. But again, he'll be in double digits of first-class hundreds, I'm sure. I don't know off the top of my head. But he's a player who, he's not going to take the game away from you. But if he batted for the rest of the day, or he stayed there with Gubbins, it takes the game away from you. I think what my fear was then is, I know James Fuller pretty well, who was coming in next, and I know how he goes about his cricket, how he wants to score. And he shows that by hitting the first ball he faced for 4. It wasn't actually a bad ball. It's fully on middle and off, and he's clipped it away for 4. And I think because he was batting with Gubbins, he had the license to be able to put his foot down, which he did try. I think Henry Gubbins hit equal 12 and over. A few overs then when I was getting a little tired and I wanted to come off, and I thought it was going to lose it for us. And then once Gubbins was out, James took it for 1 or 2 boundaries and brought it really close. And they had a batting order all the way down where there was always going to be someone could come in and take the game away from you. That was the way. James played pretty nicely. And yeah, I don't think until that final wicket went, we had felt we had it, because I've said with those pairs all the way down. And even because James had gotten to within 5, even when Abbas came in, you think one edge and it's a draw. So the whole way down, they're thinking, we can't let up there. We need this to go our way. And I think the one decision that was maybe questionable throughout the whole thing did go our way. It's Gubbins, and that again flipped it. George, our analyst, is adamant if there was referrals, it would have been umpire's call on everything. But I think that's just ridiculous.
Well, you certainly did deserve a bit of luck, I think, that day. And the pressure just kept on coming, didn't it? 124 for 7 at one stage, 15 runs needed, 3 wickets left, and then 133 for 8, 1 lucky boundary, and it's all over. How do you deal with that mentally as a bowler? You're piling in there, knowing that 1 loose ball, 1 no ball, you've just got to get everything right.
It wasn't really going through my head, to be honest with you. I was cramping, I was so tired. I think me and Ollie were having Chris and all the physios running from one side of the pitch to the other to get us energy gels, to get us salts to stop us cramping, to get us drinks. I think because we were just both so in the zone, it wasn't really going through over our heads about, dude, like one little nick, like you said, especially once Abbas was in. One little nick can do it here. I think the biggest thing was when we got Gubbins, it was suddenly we had an end, and we got Gubbins after a change of ball. Look, but I've said before, we only asked for that ball to be looked at to be changed because I needed a rest. Because I was cooked and we needed to get some more drinks into me. And luckily, somehow the ball didn't go through the hoop, and we get given a ball which was a bit harder, and the next ball jagged back and hit Gubbins on pads, and fortunately it was given. But there's little bits of luck throughout our day, like their aim with the decision that be with the fact that we only asked for the ball to be looked at. So I needed a drink and started over. There's a few bits of luck. Even Abbas's second or ball off me, or first ball was a half pitch outside edge of Ethan Brooks. He pass it died and stocking. If that gets underneath Ethan, or he parries it for 1 or 2, it's a complete wicket game again. You know, there's a few bits of light that just popped our way, and yeah, when I was going to final over, like you said, 133 for 8, I think I said to work side, hey, you got, well, I was going to aim to one way or the other this over, isn't me? And I think that was in my head, that was me telling myself of you going to 6 balls with Brad to, you know. And unfortunately, 2 of those bottom style balls are wickets. And yeah.
Well, it's interesting to note as well, Hampshire's total included only 2 extras, both of which were leg buys. So if you or Ollie or any of the other guys who had bowled had overstepped a couple of times, you know, that could have been game over as well. So it really was a disciplined effort. You have touched on Ollie Hannondolby at the other end, of course, 18 overs, 1 for 40. They're not quite as sexy figures as 9 for 62, but if he'd gone round the park for a couple of overs, that would have been game over as well, wouldn't it?
Well, if he'd gone at the same rate as me at a big game over, like I went at just over 3 and over, which is in modern first-class cricket and it's a bad economy rate, you know? But if he had gone at the same as me, it's game over. So in fact, he kept it at 2s. I think Will's overs that he bowled for 2 overs, he bowled only went for a few. Danny did go for a huge amount in his couple of overs, and you know, I think, yeah, if Ollie had gone at the same rate as me, it was just, you know, I only went at 3 and over, 3.1 over, and it was, but that game over. So if I managed to keep it 2.2, 2.3, that'd be what kept us in the game the whole time, you know. And he's done that consistently for over the last 2 years, or the last 4 years. He's done this bigger watch.
Does you can be honest here, Liam, a small corner of you feel bitter and twisted that Ollie did take that 1 wicket and you didn't get all 10? Because he's a serial offender, of course. He took 1 when Woakesy got 9 as well.
Yeah, I didn't know that until afterwards. Because he said about 3 hours later when we were still changing rooms, he said, "That's twice now I've subdetained that." But look, if he hadn't taken that wicket, you never know. They both might have cracked on with 50 each. You know, you need the first one to carry on, you know? So that first wicket was maybe the most important because he got us in a row, and every wicket's as important as each other. So look, seriously, all I can say is I'm just glad that A, we stayed up, and B, we had those memories to look back on.
Just finally on that day, what was going through your mind when Mohammed Abbas was adjudged LBW and it was game over?
First, it was just please give it, because as soon as they hit on the pad, it was in my head, it was dead, and it was just please give it, please give it. And he took so long to give it. It felt like he took a day to give it, an hour to give it, you know. And Ketz is an international umpire who's been over blocks. Whether there was a bit of dramatization put in there or not, who knows? But no, it was just please give it. And then, like, honestly, the next 5 minutes are a blur, you know. Around lots of hugs, lots of people shouting. The weirdest memory I have is I went to shake Gary the ground of his hand to say thank you to the picture you had done all his hard work all year. I dropped my sunglasses, stepped on my sunglasses. And for some reason, that is my main memory from that 5 minutes of finishing the game to walking off the pitch, or trying to shake Gary's hand and dropping my sunglasses, you know? But I think it was just because something can look completely out of the blue from everything else, you know? And yeah, it was just, I'm sure it was just relief going through it. Like I said, it was a bit of a blur, but what was nice was Ed Ree, Hunter Blair to a man, gave me quite a big embrace. You know, Pop, Graham Welsh, who wasn't my bowling coach the year before, gave me a big cuddle and just told me proud of me, you know, I just up against the team. And, you know, it's even like getting into changes afterwards was just a bit of a blur. And then I'm suddenly on Sky Sports, it's suddenly walking. I do an interview, then I'm being pushed into the members lounge to be training through the members lounge. And yeah, it's a pretty blurry few hours afterwards. Like, I think I had 1 beer for 5 hours, just didn't want to drink. I was just so dehydrated, I was so tired. I was just drinking the water even, you know. But it's always never going to leave me, and it's something I can always look at, be very proud of. But unfortunately, the next year and a half will marred by injuries, and that's one that finished my career. So if at the time you told me I was going to be my last ever first-class game, I don't think anybody could ask for a better way to finish. It just is then 80 minus injury put on top of it. But yeah, if you told me it's never our first-class game, I'd have been a bit agey. So you've got to look back at, be grateful for what you had.
Well, it is the case, Liam. I think that everybody that was there that day will remember it for a long, long time. I was up in the media centre with some guys who had watched a lot of cricket over the years, and they were excited. They were thinking this is pretty special. So that's something you can be obviously really, really proud of. But then subsequently, of course, it did transpire to be your farewell first-class appearance. Talk us through what happened next.
Yeah, so I've already kind of alluded to the back issues I'd had through 2022. And then I've been final winter in 2023. I've been final preseason tour. I've been final in the first preseason game. And then we're playing an inter-squad game. And just something spasmed in my back as I bowled a ball. And then that led to countless injections, countless procedures, trying to just basically stabilise a disc and move it away from a nerve. Saw lots of specialists who kept saying, this is the issue, this is the issue. And I've got close to playing a few times. I got back into the twos. I played some charity game on Charitable League 11 friendlies. And I was in the squad a couple of times. And just every time I got close, it just went backwards. I was about to play at Taunton. Literally, Will was walking out to see the toss. I went to build a ball on the back. So then we kind of called it quits on the 2020 pre-season. And then frustratingly, in the season, you find out it was never actually back. It was my sciatic nerve was struck to my hamstring. And we went to see a specialist in London. He released it on the day, and touch wood, I've not had a back issue since. And that was this January. So January 24. And, that's nothing again. God, the guys who worked at Epton for me, coming in front of every specialist possible, but where every specialist telling us back issue. And then we found out it was a hamstring issue by Gerhard literally stripping me down to my boxes on a table, pressing me everywhere to try and find a reaction. And then he dug his head to the hamstring. It caused a lax peasant, So they did everything they could for me and found out what the issue was. So, and then you get this relief that, yes, you're finally back. It's going to be fine. You're going to play. You work all January, February, March, gone pre-season tour again. Pre-season went really well, fully fit. You get back, play the first pre-season game against Leicester. Very rusty, can bowl very well, but as a fit and playing, it's great. Then it's a squad game. Don't actually feel anything wrong that day, but throughout the rest of the week, I just start getting some stiffness in my pec. I bowl the day before the game, and it doesn't feel quite light, so we go for a scan. It was a bit fatiguing, so right, let's just be safe. We're going to be not playing for a few weeks. So that's a gutting blow as it is, but it's just been a short-term thing, so it's hot. You work and work and work, and the one thing I know how to walk away from is that I had been on the table. I never took a day off. I never took a shortcut. I put my body to as far as I could take it, and then I played 3 or 4 second team 220s, got myself fit, got myself into a first team squad. Unfortunately, Guitar Day 4 wasn't playing. Wopesy was back. He had not played much, so they couldn't risk both us playing the same game. Look, if the decision is me and Chris Wokes, I completely understand why you get Chris Wokes every day of the week. I think everybody's done the same decision, So off I go to the twos. I get them 25 overs of work across for 2 days. Everything's been good. And then literally the last 4, I try and bowl a bouncer to add my over to Parry Darley, who I did a bit of pub cricket with. And something just literally went in my pec. I had this sharp pain. Whooped up. Well, luckily, I didn't leave bond over it. My computer the last 15 minutes over, but let the pick. Didn't think it was going to be too bad. And then turns out it was torn that badly. You surgeons in my career. And there's literally 1 ball out of 25. And yeah, it all happened pretty quick. That was the Monday. I see the specialist for the Thursday. They were calling on, basically entirely up. So it all happened pretty quickly. That's special sport was pretty, But I did it like it's play. And I can be happy and papa. I do absolutely bother good to get off with.
It must have been such a difficult mental journey to go on especially after the heights that you'd hit. Never mind the physicality of it and the pain and the discomfort and the hard work. That's it's quite a situation to get your head around.
Yeah, it is. And I'm very lucky. I've got a very supportive wife and a very strong, supportive family. Like, her in-laws have been incredible throughout it. My parents have been good throughout it, but Lauren's been amazing. But, it's one of those, I finally got my career to where I wanted it. I just won a championship. I've been on England Lions tour. Then I get a phone call to say, oh, you're going to be on reserve for the test team for the tour to Barbados. Wow, my career's going well, but was all it's going amazing. And then that's when the injuries just really started to have rack up. That 22 season, and then you get to go into 2022 season, you manage to get yourself to that position where I put in that performance, you're like, my luck's changing, great, perfect, I'm in, my luck's changing. And then it was just like a roller coaster, You think you're fine, you drop backwards again, you think you're fine, you drop backwards. And we're very fortunate at Warwickshire to have a amazing lady called Kate Green who works with the squad, so I got to work with, and yeah, she managed to keep me level, managed to keep me just focused on the process. And yeah, look, there's some pretty dark days in there, I'm not gonna lie. There's some days where I don't know what I didn't want to do it anymore, But now I'm amped to the game. I'll take those dark moments to be able to still be in the game, And then the way it ended, it's pretty bittersweet, to not really ever saying it. The club made the decision before it even knew I was going to be medically retired. The club made the decision that they were going to move on from me and terminate me, and I completely get it. But one thing I've been able to rationalize the whole time is that on an asset and they couldn't use it, and how many people in any other walk of life or any other business have an asset they can't use or are going to keep paying or funding money into. So, I was able to look at it objectively, but yeah, like just that whole period of injury, being told to get surgery, before I even knew it was career ending, club getting rid of me, and then you're then in this kind of cross section where, I need surgery, I need to get them fixed, so you have the surgery, and then you've got to work out, is there a future in cricket? And then it pretty quickly there was a recommendation from the surgeons not carrying claim, and I'm 32, I've got 2 kids, and although everybody in my body wanted to give it another go, I've got to be in a position where I can still be a dad, I didn't want to go against advice and try and play again. Maybe you can do it so badly that I can't be a dad properly, So the head won over the heart, which was obviously the right decision. But yeah, until I got into work and into a new role, it didn't really sink in. And now I'm in an office and I'm working in recruitment into IT. It's something that cricket's no longer there. I'm doing a little bit of coaching on the side for Cornwall, just every other Saturday, just helping out. I feel it's something I should do to give back to the cricket board who got me to where I got to, But, that's as much my involvement is with cricket, apart from being on Redwood Cricket Club's committee now, because again, I feel like I should give back. It's my local team. They did it for me growing up. So if I can give back by being on committee and helping out here and there, then why not? But yeah,
Could you or would you want to ever play at any level again? I mean, would the body stand up to that?
So I don't know at the moment. I'm not going to be anytime soon. I think if I do even play cricket, it's going to be the club level, is going to be in a batter just for a bit of fun. And I'm not sure any team are going to be looking for my batting skills, unfortunately. So, but look, I know it's a long way away. My boys are 5 and 2, but I just want to be in a position now, if they ever are playing club cricket and adults cricket and want to play, I'd love to be in a position where I could take the field with my boys. Some of my best child memories are playing with my dad when I was 13, 14. He was already for second 11. So, yeah, no. All I want to be able to do is be a dad now weekends and be able to have a body that I can go to the beach with the boys and have fun and not worry that I'm going to hurt, or in 10 years time maybe they're doing club cricket or one. But look, he's Lowville pattern. Like, I feel that can change. You just don't know what happened by next summer, what I want to do, etc. And the boys ever can do, and other things say I can and can't do, But I don't know real plans to play any times, but I'd love to be competition something to play to the love.
And as you mentioned earlier on, a new chapter has opened up for you work-wise. I suppose almost any job would be very different to being a professional cricketer, wouldn't it? So I guess this is.
Massively. You look, I'm at a desk, it's recruitment into IT software development, and it's been a big learning curve, you know? It's full of completely different challenges. When I first started, I hadn't had desks at school, which is 14 and a half years ago. I hadn't done a lot of work with computers for a long time, so it's a big learning curve, but it's a challenge and one that I'm throwing myself into, you know, and hope that I can make a success out of it. And it's long hours, but it's been fun so far. It's a learning curve, and like I said, it's a new challenge. Any challenge I've always put myself completely into, and I've done no different with this. You never know, in a few years I might be one of the best recruiting consultants in the country, or I might be doing something completely different. You just don't know. But no, you've done this about it, given my best crack, and it's going okay so far.
That's great to hear. And have you told your new colleagues that you once took 9 for 62 and bowled exceptionally well, probably the best spell in Warwickshire's history? Have you mentioned that yet?
It was actually brought up in my interview, so they did some research on me, etc., off the CV, and found that, you know, and just they aren't cricket people, but they asked for relevance, and I tried to put into football terms, and the way I put it was, at half time you need to win by goal difference of 2 to stay up from relegation. You're already 3-0 down, and I went and scored every goal in the second half, and that was kind of the easiest way I could put it. So it was a bit more than a hat trick, but obviously wasn't able more than scoring 4 or 5 goals. So that was kind of my terminology I used to attain sound, and they were pretty impressed. And now it's just a running joke that is expressed properly in the office. But, you know, it's all fun and games.
Well, it's brilliant that you've got it sounds like a really good new opportunity, and it's lovely to talk, Liam. And just don't ever, whenever you're reflecting on your career, just don't ever forget what joy that you gave to the Warwickshire fans and everybody associated with the club that day alone, you know, because that was pretty special, and that's in your locker forever.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers. It's one of those you look back and I still, in my head, a bit of a career of unfulfilled promise because of all the injuries. Like, don't get me wrong, my first class stats are pretty good, but I feel like my T20 and 50 over could have been better. And obviously, if the injuries hadn't happened, I'd like to think the first class would have got better and better as they were with my age. But it's nice to know that that's thought with me. So thank you.
Yeah, 347 first-class wickets at 24. That's decent. So well done on that. And Liam, thanks ever so much for joining us. And go well in your new career, and hopefully we'll speak again soon.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Reports from Arbroath is an Orion Creative Services production. To listen to more episodes, to read our blog, or to join our mailing list, please visit reportsfromarbroath.com.